Satoru Iwata, a great man, a genius programmer, and above all else, a great leader. Ladies and gentlemen of the class today, I'm going to tell you the story of a man who did his best to never let anyone down and made sacrifices for his people. Satoru Iwata, the leader who was generous and reliable. Satoru Iwata was born December 6, 1959. From a young age, he was a leader, being class president, student council president, and president of many clubs while in school. At the same time, he found his love for video games and programming. He saved up money working as a dishwasher to buy a programmable calculator to make games for his classmates and himself to enjoy. He eventually graduated high school and went on to college, where he excelled in computer science. After he was done in college, he went to work for a gaming company known as HAL Laboratories. You may have heard of a few games they've made, in particular the Kirby franchise, the Super Smash Bros. Franchise, and the first step on our journey of knowing what a great leader Satoru Iwata is, the Earthbound games. For those of you who don't know, Earthbound is a role-playing game made for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but that is well known for its wacky characters, beautiful art, and great gameplay. But it almost never came to be. Earthbound wasn't being made directly by Satoru Iwata at the time, as he was CEO of the company and had his own team working on their own projects. The head of the project eventually came up to Satoru Iwata to talk about how they were struggling. Iwata sat down, looked at the code of the game, and did not like what he saw. But he knew the game had potential. So Satoru Iwata went to the team and said, quote, "If we complete what we have now, it will take 2 years. If it is okay to start again from scratch, it can be done in a half year." Everyone knew that if Iwata said something, like that, it wasn't coming from a place of cockiness. Instead, came from a place of experience and knowledge. Iwata even volunteered to step in and work on the project. And so they trusted him. And in 6 months, the game was ready to be played from start to finish. The team was happy, but decided to work on the game a little bit more to perfect it. Now, the question you may be asking is, was it worth it? Given how Earthbound is frequently labeled one of the greatest role-playing games of all time and is the inspiration for the wildly popular game Undertale, the answer seems like a yes. It is pretty clear to see that Iwata was reliable enough to know how to fix a game like this just by looking at the code, and generous enough to step in himself to ensure the game got done on time and right. Now, back to Iwata's career. In the year 2000, Iwata went to join Nintendo, a company he worked almost exclusively with while working at HAL Laboratories. Within 2 years, he was promoted to president of the company, and at this time, Nintendo was getting ready to release their next big handheld device, the Nintendo DS. But as the launch was approaching, Iwata knew that it needed one last thing to push it over the edge and make it popular, not just with gamers, but with non-gamers as well. So Iwata took a step away from Nintendo to go meet with Ryuta Kawashima. Kawashima was a famous bookmaker for making puzzle books that were meant to sharpen your brain. Iwata wanted to make games based around this. So they spent the next several months making what would be known as the Brain Age games. The first three releases of these games would sell well over 4 million units alone. This is another prime example of how Iwata was not just reliable when it came to making games, but also knowing what consumers would want. Last part of his career I want to look at when you jump forward almost a decade. Over that decade, Nintendo had seen success after success with the Wii U, the DS, and even the 3DS, but that was about to change with the launch of the Wii U. The Wii U way undersold after launch, and Nintendo was starting to have to operate at a loss. So what did Satoru Iwata do? Did he fire everyone who worked on the Wii U? No. Did he make everyone but the higher-ups take a huge pay cut to save money? Of course he didn't. So what did he do? He met with the upper management team to discuss, and it got them all to agree to take a pay cut. The rest of upper management took about a 20 to 30% pay cut. But how much do you want to take? 20 to 30% like the rest? No. 40%, which is a little bit more. No, 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 that's not enough. Satoru Iwata took a whole 50%. Why? Well, why he did this is best summed up in a quote that he made a few years before. "I believe that laying off a group of employees will not help strengthen Nintendo's business in the long run." This was the incident that made me know that Iwata was the leader I need to get more information on. This is what a true, generous leader does when he believes in his staff. Satoru Iwata sadly passed away a year and a half after that due to complications with cancer. Iwata was a great leader with a lot we can learn. But what is that? Well, be a leader who is generous enough to sacrifice his time and his money to make sure his team could succeed. Succeed. Be a leader who is reliable enough to know how to fix any issues your employee has. And above all else, be a reliable leader who knows how to make your team and your company money. All these are traits we could incorporate into our leadership repertoire. So Satoru Iwata was someone we should all strive to be like, a caring, reliable, and generous leader. Thanks for watching. Here is my sources for my photos, and here is my citations from my paper.